name is Tyler Johansson, the team leader for Team 13. My group members are Brittany Pate, Charlie Gravel, Cliff Reed, and Ryan Dowd. We have chosen John Janik of Electra Records as our entrepreneur and company. Electra Records was founded in 1950 by Jack Holzman. He started primarily with an interest in folk music. While he was in college at St. John's, he began recording, and their first released album that he produced was in 1951 called New Songs. In June of 1967, Electra Records had their first #1 hit with Light My Fire by The Doors. Later in the company, we sold to Warner Brothers for $10 million and decided to stay on with the company. Warner Brothers combined Atlantic Records and Electra Records to increase their label size. Some of the current and notable artists that have signed and worked with Electra Records are Bruno Mars, CeeLo Green, Ed Sheeran, Bob Dylan, The Eagles, Hank Williams Jr., Jason Mraz, Metallica, Motley Crue. As you can see, there's many more artists that have signed with Electra Records over the last 60 years. As mentioned, our entrepreneur is John Janik. He started the label Fueled by Ramen while attending the University of Florida in 1996 from his dorm room. The name came from him having very little money after investing it all in his label and living off ramen noodles. He was named the president of Electra Records in 2009 and actually was just announced as president and COO of Interscope Geffen A&M, working with Jim Iovine. Alright, and now for entrepreneurship, we'll turn the time over to Brittany Pate.
Hi, my name is Brittany Pate, and I'll be introducing entrepreneurship as this part of our presentation. Ask yourself, what does entrepreneurship mean? What does it mean to be an entrepreneur? The common answer is, it's just someone who started a business. And there is some truth to that, but there's a little bit more than that. It takes someone who can organize and manage and understand and assume the risk of taking on a new business. And that's an entrepreneur. What are some of the qualities and characteristics that make up a successful entrepreneur? Because not all entrepreneurs are successful. Not all brand new businesses that take off continue and flourish. So what makes an entrepreneur successful? Well, let's first consider passion. If you don't have a passion for what you're doing, you're probably not likely to follow through, to take the steps that you need to make your business successful, and to stick with it. You have to be passionate about what you're doing in order to make your business take off. The second thing is having good planning and time management, because a dream just doesn't become a reality on its own. There are steps that have to be taken in order to make the dream the reality. So a good entrepreneur understands that and has good management and good planning and takes the steps necessary to move their business forward. The third is marketing. You can have great passion and great management and great planning, but if you don't get that out to the public or the clients or the customers or whoever you're trying to reach, they won't know how wonderful you are. And marketing is a very important thing, and entrepreneurs understand that. Successful ones understand that. The fourth thing is you have to consider the needs and desires of the people you're selling to or you're interested in. For example, if you are a stationery business and you are in the suburbs, you may want to kind of cater to a more suburb style clientele. So versus having a whole entire store of very clean, sharp, professional stationery, you may want to have some really fun ones that moms can send off their kids to camp with, etc. Now, if you live or if you're starting your business in an industrial area, it may be wise to consider having some more professional stationery. The fifth thing is accessibility and building a good reputation. Yeah, an entrepreneur can start a business all on their own, but it's kind of an uphill battle. It makes your job a lot easier if you're accessible and you build ties rather than burn bridges, because in your business you'll never know who you might need to rely on in order to um, get to your goal, whatever you're trying to reach. Sometimes it's helpful to elicit the help of other qualified people. For example, if you're not very technologically savvy, you can bring on some expert in technology to run your internet site or what have you. So let's consider a specific successful entrepreneur and kind of see if they have the qualities that we were just discussing. So let's take John Janik from Elektra Records. So let's talk about passion. Was he passionate? Yeah, he was definitely passionate. In fact, he picked up and moved twice in order to follow where he thought would be the most successful place for his company. He moved twice with one of his comrades. He understood and took the risk of organizing the company, and that, number one, makes him an entrepreneur, and the fact that he was passionate enough to move twice really gets him stepping in the right direction. The second thing is he was a very good planner and very good with time management. Now, the nature of his business kind of sent him going with the flow a little bit, but he really did have some planning, and he had some excellent time management skills that helped him move forward. The fourth thing he was good at is marketing. He actually took to the streets with some of his friends to market what he had to offer, and he kind of had two birds with one stone in that sense, because he was able not only to market, but he was also able to get in touch with the artists. He dove into their personal lives. He really wanted to know what would serve them the best, and that kind of also goes along with the accessibility and building a good reputation, and that's the fifth quality of a good entrepreneur, is being accessible. So not only did he dive in, he hit the streets to market. In the streets, he knew what the artist needed the most, and then he also opened up the line of communication for all these other people to help him, or to talk to him, or maybe to get some more future business. Accessibility is really important. So we only discussed 5 of the common qualities and characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. Of course, there are more, but these 5 really help kickstart the business and make that entrepreneur very successful on their way. So I'm going to pass it on to the next section of our presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Brittany. That was really interesting. My name is Ryan Dowd, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about the mission of Elektra Records, the company as a whole. Back in the 50s, when Jack Holzman first started the company, he wanted to, and I quote, offer discs of unusual and worthy musical fare. Basically, the whole idea of what he was trying to do was offer originality and eclecticism in the types of albums that he produced. And as you can see, through the 50s, 60s, and 70s, he did offer quite a myriad of musical styles, starting with folk, ethnic, blues, and jazz, then transitioning through rock and country and new wave. And now more recently, with the relaunch in 2009, John Janik, in keeping with the original mission statement for Elektra Records, has continued to sign new artists with increasingly variable musical styles. Elektra Records, as a part of the Warner Music Group, has begun to move towards more environmentally friendly and sustainable initiatives. To start with, all their CD and DVD production processes have started using more environmentally friendly packaging. They are practicing more ecologically superior paper procurement, and in doing this, they're reducing waste and enhancing recycling. They are starting to use more green energy sources, such as purchasing solar and wind power for their large-scale corporate events.
Elektra Records began to move into the international market in 1989 when they became the North American distributor for the UK-based label 4AD. This has begun to open up more opportunities for Elektra in a global market.
Elektra Records has expanded its community and philanthropic focus through many of its artists that contribute to different charities and organizations throughout the world and country to help better the lives of other people. In today's market of music, everything is so fast-paced with MP3 players, iTunes, and all the different media outlets there are. A few that Elektra Records focuses on linked directly from their page are Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. From here you can see events of new artists, upcoming tours, and release dates of labels and albums, as well as new artists that have been signed by the company, as well as all of from their own company-wide Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages. They also have all the artists have their own social networking outlets that they use to communicate with their fan bases and increase popularity in their records. And also interesting point of social networking, you could say, from a record company is that they have the radio and TV outlets that you see with like MTV and VH1, and obviously any radio station that plays the music that they have shown. As far as the economy and the longevity of the company, Elektra Records is, as we mentioned, relaunched in 2009 after a short break, and has come back strong and a viable company to release so many new wonderful artists. And the main thing in the record label, obviously, in remaining competitive, is being able to sign new artists, fresh talent, and then getting maximum production out of your already signed artists. And Elektra has done a good job of this by continually helping them to release albums that are relevant to today's music genres and popularity. With so many ways to distribute music these days, the economy has not really hurt Elektra Records that much, because now with like iTunes, you can buy a single track instead of purchasing an entire album, which brings the cost down significantly for everybody. Part of the evaluation and management of the company, we feel that Elektra Records has been managed very well. John Janik, as we've pointed out, is a very hard worker. He's been willing to do whatever it takes to succeed, and has shown that, and those evidences have been shown through his work in Elektra Records and the success that they have with so many wonderful artists continually throughout the history of the company. Some of the things that we noticed they were weak on was particularly their own charity and philanthropic focus. They have obviously their artists that do a lot, but they themselves seem to not have very much involvement in the community, which we feel could help the business and increase their revenue. And that's some of the things that we would want to change if we were in charge of the company. In closing, we as a group have learned tremendous amounts from John Janik and the way Elektra Records has been structured, and the determination and drive of the entrepreneurs who started it and continue to work hard to maintain a successful company.